Should you be your own general contractor and build your own projects, or hire a general contractor? If you want to get into development, and if you want to build spec houses, if you want to build commercial buildings, self-storage, whatever it is, I get that question a lot. Should I set up my own company and be the general contractor, or even if you're flipping houses, or should I just hire it out? So a couple of things you want to consider. Number one, there's a huge learning curve to becoming a general contractor. If you haven't done it, you don't have experience, or even if you do, there's a lot of things you have to know, and you have to find the right subcontractors. You have to get the licenses, insurance. Then there's the liability side. You have to warranty the product for a long time. But the biggest thing are the mistakes that you're going to make, the waste in terms of materials, labor, mistakes that are made on the job site that cost money, things like that. If you're acting as your own general contractor, you have to absorb all of that. And I'll tell you, there was a time I was building some houses one time, and one of my superintendents, just a couple of stories to tell you of the things that you can run into when you are your own general contractor. So my superintendent was on a job site, and he parked the truck, or drove the truck over a septic system and destroyed it. That was a $15,000 mistake. It was an engineered septic system, and his response was, well, I didn't know you couldn't drive over them. And it was a very delicate system that, sure, you can stand on it, you can walk on it, but you can't drive on it. Ended up costing $15,000 to replace. There was another situation where I had company trucks, and I had these custom-made aluminum ladder racks because we were on the coast, and it was a very high salt environment in the air, a lot of salt in the air. It rusts everything out. So all your ladder racks, if they weren't aluminum, they wouldn't last you a year. They'd rust out, a couple years maybe. So I had them custom made, and I mean, these things were like $800-900. And I let my superintendents, as a benefit, take their vehicles home on the weekend and use them as personal vehicles and all that. And he was driving this truck on the weekend and moving, or bought a mattress or something, tied it down to the ladder rack. It had ripped the rack off the truck. So what does he do? He leaves the rack on the side of the road to take his mattress home. He comes back, the rack is gone, $900. So these are the types of things when you have employees and company vehicles and things like that can happen. It's the nature of the business. It's part of the business. Tools disappear, materials disappear. I had one employee that took materials off the job sites and built an addition on his house with them. So, a lot of those types of things can happen when you're contracting on your own and you're self-performing. If you hire a general contractor, even for small projects, everything's on them. The mistakes, any losses, theft, all that kind of stuff is on the general contractor. Now, once materials are delivered on the site, you have builder's risk and things like that to cover, damage, loss, those types of things. But and the builder has insurance. But at the end of the day, it's all on them. They have to warranty it. They have to take the risk. They have to cover any losses, mistakes, issues, things like that. So you need to really think about those things. And then there's the opportunity cost and the time that it takes to learn the business, to manage the business, to find and work your way through the right subcontractors. No matter what you're doing, unless you have a lot of volume, it's going to be very difficult to get subcontractors that will give you their attention. If you don't have a lot of work and you're just doing one-off stuff, you're going to pay a premium and you're not going to have their attention. They're going to fill the gaps with your projects, and they're going to take that work on, and they mark their territory. It's what we call it in the business, where they show up, start, do a little bit, make a little progress, and leave. And they just come back, and and it's difficult right now because there's not enough help. The subs can't get help. There's not enough help in the industry, so it's a very difficult time. And that's the other thing is, trying to find help if you're going to self-perform and do some of the stuff in-house. So those are some of the things that can be that make it difficult to self-perform. Now, if you want to set up a company and you want to have a separate business where that's what you do, then it can make a lot of sense to self-perform, especially if you have a lot of volume and you have enough volume to keep subs busy and to keep a superintendent busy and keep the overhead covered, because you have to pay workman's comp, general liability, things like that. At the end of the day, you're really only going to save about 10%. That's really all you're going to save. That's what the premium you're paying to hire a turnkey general contractor is. It's about a 10% premium. So you have to factor that into the equation. Is that worth the time, energy, and effort on your part to do that? And it could be, depending on how much work you're doing. Or what could you do with your time otherwise instead of doing that? You can find more projects, raise more capital, do bigger deals, expand your business in that regard, into the types of assets you're doing and those types of things. So in everything that you're doing in your business, you always want to think, a lot of people think, man, if I just in-house this, or if I just do this myself, I'll save so much money. There are some tasks, there are some projects, some positions that makes sense, and sometimes in the markets when that makes sense, and then there's others when it doesn't. And with labor, as hard as it is to get and keep, it may not make sense for you to try to in-house all that when you can just sub it out, hire it out, turnkey general contractors, turnkey subcontractors, depending on the level of job and type of project, and let them deal with the headaches and the issues and the liabilities and the insurance and licensing, all those things that are required, and you focus on finding more deals, finding more capital, finding bigger deals, doing those deals and things like that. That often is a higher and better use of your time, energy, and effort and talents, especially if you want to get into the development business.